Hi everyone! In this video we will see how we can add and save the render elements in 3ds Max using V-Ray and then how we can use them in Photoshop to make our rendering look more realistic. What are the render elements? They are images that illustrate the different parts of our render. By different parts, I mean that one render element can show only the lighting of the render, another one can show the shadows, another one only the reflections, and so on. So at the end, we can take all these separate images and combine them in Photoshop to composite the final render. To use and to save the render elements, we first need to add them before we start rendering. To do that, open your project, go to the Render Setup dialog box and to the Render Elements tab. Click on the Add button and here is a list of all the render elements we can add. My suggestion is to always add the V-Ray denoiser, the V-Ray light mix and the V-Ray wire color. Apart from these three, the ones I personally use are the following: V-Ray Extra Text, V-Ray Raw Refraction, V-Ray Raw Lighting, and V-Ray Raw Shadows. I will use the interactive rendering so that I can make changes while I am rendering. If you are using the production rendering, once the image is done rendering, you can find all the render elements in this drop-down box in the V-Ray frame buffer. I will start with V-Ray denoiser since we have mentioned it several times in my past videos. What V-Ray denoiser does is to smartly blur the image in order to reduce the noise present. Regarding V-Ray light mix, we don't see it in this list, but what we need to do is to select either the RGB channel or the effects result channel and then go to the layers tab in the V-Ray frame buffer window. Click on source light mix, then on light mix, and here is a list of all the lights present in the scene. I can select the floor lamp light and turn it off or on, change its color or its intensity. Once I'm satisfied with the result, I can click on the Save Current Channel button and save this render. Then I can go and play more with the lighting and let's say try a red color and so on. The third render element that I mentioned is the V-Ray wire color. Let's see it. So what we now get is this plain grey color. That's because if I go to my floor plan, you will see that I have assigned a grey color to all the objects in the scene. What I need to do to use this element is to select each object and assign it a color. More specifically, I will select the fabric panel behind the bed. I will click on the color swatch in the name and color rollout and I will select a red color. Then I will click on the wooden slats next to the fabric panels and I will assign a yellow color. Let me select these pillows and the bed base, and since they are the same fabric as the headboard, I will apply the same red color. Why do we do this process? Because let's assume that we send this render to our client and he wants the fabric to be one tone darker. Instead of having to re-render the full scene again, you can quickly fix this in Photoshop using the wire color channel. We will see how shortly. So what you need to remember here is to set a different color to your objects so that you can quickly select them in Photoshop later on. You now see a black color here, but that's because it is still calculating the light gas. Sometimes it may get stuck and not update like now. In cases like this, simply abort the rendering process and start from scratch the interactive rendering. Now we can see all the colors we have set. Let me remind you, at the end you should apply a different color to all the objects. I won't do it now just to save time. Next element we will see is the V-Ray extra text. If you click here, you see that by default we get a white image. For this element to work, we also need to add a dirt map. Open the material editor, right click and choose Maps, V-Ray, V-Ray Dirt. Then select the V-Ray extra text element, go to its properties and wire the V-Ray Dirt map to the texture. If we re-render, we get this result. I will explain the other elements we added directly in Photoshop. Before we go there, let me also add one more element, the lens effects. To add this, go to the Layers tab in the V-Ray Frame Buffer window. Click on Lens Effects and enable it. This way, we add a glare to our lights. You can control the strength of this effect from the size and the intensity. After you finish rendering, go to this button, hold it down and choose Save all image channels to separate files. Choose the destination folder and save them. Now let's open Photoshop. Let me first start with the RGB color. This element is basically the base render. Personally, I don't really use it because almost every time that I do a render in V-Ray, I add some layers, like the exposure layer, to adjust the highlights of the image. And as you can see, this information is not stored in the RGB channel. That is why, as a base rendering, I use the effects result. Let me open it. This image is basically a combination of the RGB channel, the V-Ray denoiser and the lens effect, and it also has stored the adjustments we have made, adding the various layers in the V-Ray frame buffer. So next element I will import is the extra text. I will open it, press Ctrl A to select the image and Ctrl C to copy it. Then I will go to the effects result file and press Ctrl V to paste it. In this list we see the layers of the project, so the one at the bottom is the effects result image and the one on top is the extra text image. Use the eye icon to hide or unhide the layer. With the extra text layer selected, go to the blend mode over here and set it to multiply. This element gives more depth to the render. 100% is pretty strong, so I will reduce the opacity to 20%. I don't like how it shows up here, where my lights are. In cases like this, where I want to eliminate the effect from specific parts of the render, I add a mask. To do so, select the layer and click on the Add Vector Mask button. You see this white mask added here. When this is all white, everything shows as in the layer, nothing changes. We can select the pencil tool, set the color to black, and start painting on the mask. Everything that is black will erase. I also don't like this part, so I will paint it black. And now, this is perfect. Always use the eye icon to see how the render was before and after adding and adjusting the latest element. Next, I will import the V-Ray wire color channel. I will copy it and paste it on top of the others. Let's hide it for a second. As I said earlier, let's assume that we present this render to the client and he asks us to make the fabric a tone darker. Instead of re-rendering the scene, we can go to the wire color layer, enable the Magic Wand tool, and click on the headboard. Then, go to the menu Select and choose Similar. This way, all the red areas are selected. Now, we can hide this layer and go to the Effects Result layer. First, I will create a copy of it. And as you can see, all the objects with the fabric are selected. I will click on this button to mask out the rest of the image. Now, I can go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, and adjust the values. Only the fabric is affected. Next element is the V-Ray Raw lighting. I will open it, copy it, and paste it on top of the others. I will set the blend mode to soft light. As you can see, this element allows us to control the lighting of the scene and increase the contrast. I will set the opacity to 10%. I don't like this strong shadow on the ceiling, so I will create a mask. With the layer selected, I will click on this button. As we said before, we will start painting with black color on the parts that we want to eliminate. When I paint here, you see the difference that is created because the full ceiling is darker after applying this element. So I need to paint black the full ceiling. And when I try to paint near the edges, I create a mess. Let me undo this step. So, an easy way to do it is to unhide the wire color layer, select the ceiling, hide it again, and go to the raw lighting layer and to the mask. Now I can paint black and the selection restrains me from painting outside the selection. Once you are done, press Ctrl D to deselect the selected parts. Next, I will bring in the V-Ray Raw shadow render element. As before, I will set it to soft light with opacity 10%. As its name denotes, these render elements adjust the shadows, giving more contrast. Finally, I will open the raw refraction element. And I will set it to screen. This element controls the refraction of the objects, so at 100% the glasses look like clear glass. At 0% they look like the black glass that we have set from 3ds Max, so we can play with the opacity to adjust the refraction. These are the render elements that I personally add, but there are many more out there. Please keep in mind that the more elements you add, the more the rendering time increases, so my advice is to only add the ones that you really need. Thanks for watching, I will see you all in my next video.